2000, Sony released the PlayStation 2, the current highest-selling video game console ever released, with sales reaching up to 158 million units. Then, in 2004, Sony released a new slim revision of the PS2, making it one of the lightest and most compact systems they've ever released, coming in at just under 2 pounds. However, Sony had released another PS2 variant a year earlier, which in stark contrast weighed a hefty 13 pounds. This is the PSX, Sony's DVR game console hybrid system. Despite the overwhelming success of the PS2, the PSX is not well known and is very hard to find, especially in working condition. Join me today as I discuss the history of the PSX, including its announcement, release, features, and legacy. In 2003, nearly 3 years after the release of the PS2, Sony decided to expand the PlayStation brand beyond just games by unveiling the PSX at CEATEC, Japan. While the PSX did contain a fully functioning PS2, the main draw of the system was its DVR and media center functionality. The PSX was to be packed to the brim with media and entertainment features, but to meet a Christmas 2003 release date, some features had to be cut. At launch, the PSX lacked CDR and DVD plus RW disc support. It did not support playing MP3 audio files or viewing GIF images, and it had its DVD write speed halved from the initially announced 24 times real-time speed to 12 times real-time speed. While some features would be added in later software updates, some were cut for good. The PSX released on December 13, 2003 exclusively in Japan. It was initially considered a success, with Sony reporting 100,000 sales in the first week, despite having to cut features to meet the holiday 2003 launch window. At launch and throughout its life, the PSX had two models, the 7000 series, which featured a 250GB hard drive for 99,800 yen, and the 5000 series, which featured a 160GB hard drive for 79,800 yen. This price was nearly double that of a standard PS2. The high price is considered to have greatly contributed to the eventual failure of the PSX, although it was seen as fairly priced compared to similar products on the market. The main selling point of the PSX was its DVR functionality, allowing it to burn and play back various disc formats, along with storing files on the internal hard drive. The PSX featured the same Emotion Engine processor found within the PS2, allowing it to play PS2 games along with PS1 games through backwards compatibility. Like the PS2, it could also connect to the PSP for transferring files and enabling features in certain games. The PSX supported memory cards and controllers from both the PS1 and the PS2. The controller ports were found somewhat awkwardly on the back of the system, making it difficult to plug in controllers for some setups. The PSX only came with a TV-like remote out of the box, but a special PSX branded DualShock 2 was released alongside the system for 3,500 yen, which featured a 4-meter cord, slightly longer than previous DualShock controllers. One point of praise for the PSX was its brand new UI design called the Cross Media Bar, or XMB. The XMB is a very recognizable part of not just PlayStation, but of Sony history in general. The XMB design debuted on the PSX, but later featured on many Sony devices, including the PSP, PS3, select Sony TVs, and select Sony Blu-ray players. The design was icon-based, and most media was arranged into 4 vertical categories: games, videos, audio, and photos. Despite initial success, the PSX was ultimately considered a failure by Sony. Poor sales attributed to its high cost led Sony to cancel an international release of the system. The PSX was discontinued in 2005, 1 year before the release of the PS3. Today, the PSX is a collector's item that is very difficult to find. A working system will go for well over $1,000, as the PSX is not very reliable and is prone to overheating. Additionally, the hard drive is encrypted to the console, meaning that a hard drive failure would render the system bricked and difficult to repair. Despite its obscurity, the PSX is an interesting and unique part of PlayStation history that should not be forgotten. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon with some more tech history.